Destry Hunt, resident of Torrance County. I want to echo all of the comments of those who were before me. Spot on. And one slight change, and I know it's unintentional. Person who said it's actually knows more about the Constitution than most of us, but it is nerve-wracking to get there. But our rights do not come from the government. Our rights come from God, and He will judge our acts eventually when that day comes, and how we use those rights. So, a word on the VCCs. I don't think many people, I think a lot of us lack perspective. Those who I know I do. I enjoy hearing from people who can tell me about how the elections used to run. And I had a great conversation with Deputy Clerk Sylvia Chavez about that, and others have also talked about it. And it was transparent because you could see it was very clear who was supposed to vote in a precinct, who voted at your precinct, and I don't think there was any legitimate concern about it being convenient. So the voter convenience centers that have been pushed on us, and that two of you on this commission approved, because they didn't exist before. They were first approved under Commissioners McCall, Schwebach, and Sanchez. And before that, they didn't exist. Before that, it was actually possible for the deputy clerk to perform the canvass on her own without the Secretary of State's word. A word about that in a second. But the VCCs, the voter convenience centers, are no more convenient than the Affordable Care Act is affordable, or any of the other misnomers. And one of the first items of business ought to be to get rid of these VCCs and to have people voting in the precincts again. And it was not very long ago that we were doing that. And so, a word on the canvas. So I was one of the canvas observers, and I sat in, and I know it was nerve-wracking for the clerk's office, because they are handicapped by not having a clerk, an elected clerk, and it's questionable whether or not they're better off without that clerk, or better off with that clerk, because they're trying to do all these things for the first time on their own. And at the same time, I know that they're happy to not be harassed and don't have to deal with some of the other problems that were pointed out in the internal investigation. So I have sympathy for the clerk's office and for them trying to get this done despite the obvious handicap. And I think that they did their best. I don't contest that. I also understand how nerve-wracking it is to have people suddenly observing the canvas. I guess that's not something that has happened in a while, and that's sad, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And I didn't see anybody from the Republican or Democrat parties there observing the canvas. The Libertarians were there, and one of the conversations was about the actual report of the canvas that the canvassing board is to approve today, or that they are needing to approve. To echo what Charlie Thigpen said, it's not possible now because of the VCCs, unless you have something set up in some pretty sophisticated spreadsheets, and that sort of defeats the purpose once again of having transparency when you have to introduce a different technology. But the point is that because of the precincts voting in any location, it's very difficult for the clerk to be able to create the report of canvass. And so and I think that that's by design. The voter convenience center, by design, make it impossible for the clerk to actually prepare the report of canvass. What you may or may not know is that what happens is the clerk's office, in this case, the deputy clerk, inputs into the Secretary of State's portal the results of the. They were inputting things from the tabulator tapes and from provisional ballots. There are a few of those, but in the end, it's not like they are creating a canvass report. This report of canvass that you're looking at, you guys know who prepared that, where that came from. It says in statute that it's the clerk who should prepare it. And look around and see if our Mr. I.D. Soto, who likes to convince us that words can have different meanings, and so I wonder if prepare is meant. It has duplicate meanings, but in my mind, it means the clerk takes the information and, in view of the observers, the canvass observers, transfers how many people voted in this precinct for this person, and transfers it to a table that is printed, and you all can approve it as the canvass. But that is not what happens. After they input the information into the portal, they wait for the Secretary of State to check it. At least that's what I was told. They need the Secretary of State's office to check it. That's not in statute. The Secretary of State should not be involved at that level. And then, in order to produce this report of canvass, they select the report and print it. So it's coming from this portal that is managed by the Secretary of State's office. So once again, just like with the poll books, just like with the tabulators, we don't have transparency. It's not something that we are doing here locally. We are not we're not preparing our canvass report like it says. So if we want to be sticklers about statute, that does not happen. At least not in the actual prepare sense. We're not preparing a county canvass any more than you would prepare a home cooked meal that's actually cooked in a microwave. So the details are important. So when you decide whether to approve this today, know that you're approving something that is in violation of statute, and you know that. And no matter what happens today, there's going to be a period after everyone is sworn in again, especially our new sheriff, and we're going to really want answers, and we're going to want someone to look into some of these things. A lot of these things which can be investigated outside of the election code, they're part of the criminal code, and you can bet that we are going to be pressing for those things. So you have to keep that in mind. So the manager stated whenever she completed her audit that you could not have known last time about the 10% of the ballots that were missing and the way that impacted various elections. And you know now that there's a problem in the process that was not remedied. And to my knowledge, nothing was done that remedied this issue. So we all went and we voted on these same machines using the same processes, expecting a different result. We're expecting that everything was without error. And we don't know that because we did not make any attempt to fix the problem. We were told to go ahead and vote on these machines. So now you know that there's a problem. So you can't just approve and say, well, everything looks fine. They said it looks fine. They said everything matches. They don't know. Because, see, one of the things that you're supposed to do is that you can summons the precinct board, commanding them to forthwith appear and make the necessary corrections or supply omissions if it appears there is a discrepancy between the number of votes set forth in the certificate for any candidate and the number of electors voting as shown by the election returns. How do you know that discrepancy does not exist? We did not create the canvass report, and there's no way for you to know that. You can summons if it appears there's an omission, informality, ambiguity, or uncertainty on the face of the returns. There is uncertainty here, we're telling you, because we were observers in this canvass. We cannot be certain of where any of these numbers come from. So, by all means, listen to Daniel Eddie Soto. I'm waiting for him to walk in. By the way, there was an interesting piece I noticed about some of his conflicts of interest, and it was a complaint to the Legislative Ethics Committee, and it talked about one of the things that he tried to get passed in the same bill that permitted you all to make these changes, that he wanted to remove the ability of the county chairman of the political parties to appoint observers and challengers. So if they get their way this next time, we might not be here to tell you what we're telling you today. And it's only by some stroke of luck that he did not get that passed, and that we were able to observe. And so take our testimony for what it's worth, but you've heard from those who were present, some of those who were present. Thank you for listening to all my comments, and I do appreciate your efforts today. Thank you.
Sam Chavez.